Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Elm Creek Farms. This is episode, is it? I believe it is. This is episode number 30, the big 30. Extremely hard to believe on my part that we managed to get 30 episodes out of a base game map. And even though I've been playing this for 30 episodes, I still have made the wrong turn to go to the farmer's market. I do not know why I want to think that the farmer's market is up there when in reality it is just over here. It's kind of funny because I pass by the farmer's market every evening my when my virtual self goes home to the big house up there on the little hill. And well, here we are. We're gonna sell a load of canola. Canola prices, according to the in-game price fluctuation chart, if you will, says that December is the best time for us to sell canola right now, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring in and sell. Let me stop that for a second. I want to get a screenshot, and I need to go in here and hide the HUDs, and then I need to come around someplace where I can get a decent shot with this camera behaving the way that it does. And we will go ahead and dump and then try to get a screenshot here. Hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful, fine day in your neighborhood. In my neighborhood, I'm having a fantastic day. Today in the real world is a Monday. I don't know what day of the week it is. I have slowed down production somewhat of videos, and I've done this for a couple of reasons. One is I was putting out sort of around the just maybe before Christmas and kind of during the Christmas and New Year's break, if you will. I was putting out 5 and 6 episodes a week, and I was kind of noticing that the more episodes I put out per week, the less views that the episodes were getting. Obviously, the busier that I was in kind of doing this, and of course, only kind of focusing on kind of one thing or at least one game in my life, and that was Farm Sim 22, which there's no harm, no foul in that per se. But when I would stagger things out a little bit more, uh, a gap of a couple of days in between episodes, my episode counts were going up slightly, not a whole lot, but slightly more. And so I just made a decision that I was going to slow things down because I really don't know when I'm going to change maps. That's kind of the first thing. You can wait for me to pass by, Mr. Pedestrian. I really don't know when the next map is going to come out that I'm going to be interested in. I kind of know what that's going to be, but I have no idea when it's going to come out. And I'll talk a little bit more about maps releasing and all that stuff here in just a moment. Let me get the HUDs back up here so we can see how much money we're we're making here. Let's see. There we go. HUD off. We'll go ahead and dump this here. Now you may notice that this is basically all the canola that we have. This is the last batch. But you may notice that our money has come down about $360,000 worth, I believe. We did buy our first plot of new land, and we're going to go down in just a moment and start taking care of that. It is December, but we want to get a jump start on it, even though it's kind of like, I guess, the opportune time to buy a piece of land would be either A, after the previous farmer has done a little bit of labor on it, and maybe even B, after they've just put seeds down on that piece of property. However, we don't really know what type of seeds that farmer's going to put on a field, and we don't know what all they're going to be willing to do as far as field prep and that sort of stuff is concerned. Now, I don't have a problem in going ahead and cultivating or even plowing under existing field and stuff like that, because sometimes when we buy fields, we don't get our choice and the field might already be weed infested or whatever, and it's often just best to go ahead and start with a clean slate. Having said that, and I need to just take a moment here, 1 second. All right, I needed to take a moment there just to get my sim dashboard set up. I was not really ready to start recording this morning, I suppose. I did not have my tablet sitting off to the left of me that runs sim dashboard that gives me a little bit higher level of immersion and easier to set up GPS and such with that. But anyway, our expansion first field, and it's not going to be the last expansion field, but we're going to kind of do this one field at a time, with a goal in mind. That's rhyming, isn't it? To just better our opportunities, and we may not make all of our money back before we end this series on this map. Kind of goes back to, I'll get to that in just a moment. But at least we're just kind of moving things forward, and we're setting things up so that we can kind of perhaps imagine that if they continue to do the things that we've set for them to do going forward, that they would be successful at it. So our first expansion field is field number 39 down here in this area. Now, if you remember, I had originally talked about the opportunity, the possibility that I would buy some of those fields over by the large greenhouse complex. And we did think about that, consulted with my dad, obviously consulted with George and even with Bo. And we've just basically determined that this is our better option right here because we've got more fields closer together. Most likely the next field that we're going to buy will be this big field here, field number 38. I believe we've got enough money to go ahead and do that, to pay cash for that field, and that may be something that we may do. We wanted to again kind of go ahead and get started a little bit on this. The ground is not frozen, and so we do have the ability to go ahead and start cultivating. And our main goal is going to be not necessarily to cultivate it to get it ready for seeds per se, because we're not going to plant anything at this particular point in time, this day, or even in the month of December. But we do this field, and the field adjacent to it. As a matter of fact, this entire area is very rocky, and so we wanted to have the ability, we wanted to have the time to be able to go ahead and really start de-rocking this field. That's really why we're doing it now versus say waiting um, until springtime, is because that we know that there's rocks in these fields, and we need a little bit of additional time. Going to need some time to first come through here, most likely with a roller, and see if we can roll some of the smaller rocks. It's really just going to kind of depend on what we see once we kind of get into this cultivated ground. And let me just move this over just a little bit, and there we go. So we will go ahead and lock ourselves in and start off. All right, so I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I think I've already said that, because I think I've already said that I was having a really good day, and in the real world, it's Monday something or another, and I'm going to tell you what that something or another is. Not that it really matters, but it's the 10th of December, and as I said, I took some time off from recording episodes on Farm Sim 22 and Elm Creek. I started playing another map on Farm Sim 22 with the thought that maybe, just maybe, I might do a short series on that map, but there was just so many problems, and I'll be honest with you, the map that I'm really excited to be able to start playing is Calmsden Farm by Oxygen David, and I know that everybody and their dog, if their dog has a YouTube channel, everybody and their dog is going to be playing Calmsden Farm. I choose maps that I play for Let's Plays on the YouTube channel. I pick them for my own personal enjoyment, and what I think you guys will want to see. I love a British style farming map. And I think I've told this story before, and I'm going to tell it again. I'm going to be like my dad here, my real life dad, who often will start a story and he'll say, "Now, I've already told you this, son. I know I have, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it to you again because I believe that, I think that you need to hear it again." Uh, but I'm going to tell you this again. I fell in love with British farming maps. For one, my wife and I met my wife in England back in 2001. So you already kind of know that I have this English connection, this England connection. Before the pandemic, we would go on vacation every other year in Belgium. We would go and see her family in Belgium, and then we would spend anywhere from a week to 10 days in the English countryside in Kent. We had a place there that we absolutely enjoyed visiting, going to, and then we would kind of use that as our base of operations, if you will, our base of kind of branching out and then visiting and seeing other things, taking the train or whatever the case might be, or maybe even flying to another location in Europe somewhere and seeing everything that there was to see. When I first started playing this wonderful game back in Farm Sim 15, I did not know much about mods, and I didn't know much about modded maps until probably 5, 6 months into my gameplay, because then I started branching out and not only watching YouTube content about the game, but also looking and seeking out communities that was kind of focused around farm sim. And I started hearing these people talk about, and then I started seeing videos about Colborough Park Farm by Bullet Bill. And that was the map that I switched from when I was playing basically vanilla Farm Sim 15 and playing on Westbridge Hills, I think it was called. I branched over to Colborough Park Farm by Bullet Bill and Farm Sim 15, and just absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, fell in love with British style maps. I've kind of been a bit picky about British style maps, and of course, my favorite map maker for British style farming is Bullet Bill. But then again, Bullet Bill and Oxygen David have worked together, very closely together on so many projects. So really, truthfully, even though Bullet Bill hasn't didn't mod anything for Farm Sim 19, you know, he has he basically kept Farm Sim 17 alive for so many people all through the time frame of Farm Sim 19, with his Western Shore map that he released. And of course, hopefully Bullet Bill will return to the modding world and produce some projects for us to enjoy. But we all know that Clumsden Farm is coming out for Farm Sim 22. It is done as far as Oxygen David is concerned. He is testing it, and his testers are testing it. And then at some point, if they're satisfied with what that looks like and how that functions and everything, then it will get submitted to Giant, and then they will do their testing and their whatever they do. And then I don't want to knock that sign down, so I'm not gonna. I'm going to try not to knock that sign down, is what I should say. And so they will do their testing, and then it will be made available for all of us. And of course, it will be console and PC based. Well, presumably console and PC based, unless something happens. But anyway, that's another story. So, but right now there are a lot of maps available for Farm Sim 22. There really is. There's a lot of mods available for Farm Sim 22. And you know where I'm going to go with this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go down that rat hole, and I'm going to say that the majority of the maps that are available right now for Farm Sim 22 are just absolute, I'm going to say it, are absolute junk. Yes. And so many of the mods that are available for Farm Sim 22 are even worse than junk. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that you'll find on simplysafemods.com, and I'm not talking about the mods that you'll find on Giant's Mod Hub. And I'm not saying everything is junk. I'm not using the word everything. I'm saying that so much that is out there is junk. And I've fallen into this trap before where I've wanted to break away from a base game map. I did this in Farm Sim 17. Wanted to break away from the base game map. Colborough Park Farm had not come out for 17 yet. It was going to be updated for 17, and I was wanting to continue that series, I believe. But I went through this process of trying probably three, four, maybe a half dozen different early release maps that came out for Farm Sim 17, and just found problems. And much like my friend Fury Machine Gaming, I have a set of rules that I follow for myself, for my own private gameplay, as well as what you're going to see on the channel. And if there's problems with the map, I will not play the map. And if sometimes we don't know what the problems are until we get into the gameplay. You may not know that a map has a problem until you get to fall, until after you've planted it. And keep in mind that, before Farm Sim 22, typically, if we were playing with the Seasons mod in Farm Sim 17 or in Farm Sim 19, you started in the spring, okay? Um, and unless you advance time or whatever, but typically you started in the spring, and you'd go through the process of planting, and then you'd watch your crops grow, and then there'd be a problem. Well, I've fallen for that trap many times, and I'm just not going to do it. Now, I'm not saying that every modded map that's out there right now is junk. Um, the No Man's Land, I think when it got initially released, it had some problems, or it was missing some features, I think, and then the update came out. I think that's a fine map, and I think if you're looking for alternatives to the base game maps, No Man's Land is going to be your friend. Um, and I'm not going to name any more names. No Man's Land, as far as I know, No Man's Land is the only modded map that's available through Giants Mod Hub, and so that's that. So it's past those tests and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm not going to name any other names because I don't really want to embarrass or alienate anyone. But I have tried a couple of the maps that have come out within the last 2 weeks since the first of the year, and maybe slightly before the first of the year, and have just found challenges with them, have errors upon loading. So right then and there they go. I'll try a map. I check if there's errors when I load it up. If there are, I don't go any further. The and I believe what has created this is the farm sim community has always been, especially from the time that I've really got involved in it, has been toxic. There has been a level of the community that has been toxic from a very long time. Again, going back to Farm Sim 15, my experience. This the level this level of toxic behavior has exploded with Farm Sim 22, and it's kind of twofold. It's happened for a couple of reasons. One, when Farm Sim 22 first came out, well, everybody and their dog, whether they even had any modding skills or not, was rushing to try to get third-party mods out for people. And maybe some people were doing it on, out of the kindness of their heart because they knew that people wanted some of these additional mods. I mean, for me, the game was 100% playable with the in-game default vehicles, and this map has been. I've got almost 100 hours on Elm Creek. Um, I've got almost 100 and maybe 50 hours in the game total. Farm Sim 22 since it was released in November 22nd. So we're almost 2 months in, and I've got almost 100 hours in this game save, and I'm playing with mostly default equipment. Few mod things here and there, but mostly default equipment. And I'm having fun, and it's given me that level of pleasure that I've made 30 videos on this series. I haven't, gone back to Farm Sim 19, or I haven't, stopped or started a new Let's Play on a map that may or may not work. But this level of toxic behavior that I'm talking about, like I said, it's nothing new, but it has just exploded. It has exploded since the release of Farm Sim 22, and it's done so for a couple of reasons. And one I mentioned, people trying to get stuff out. The other thing is that people that don't know what they're doing, that have no business modding whatsoever because they absolutely lack the skills. And I know I should be kind to people that have a genuine interest in modding, and they're just starting out, because let's face it, even the greats, even Bullet Bill, even Oxygen David, even CCS 101, Rubber Burner, all of these guys that I know and love their creations, they all had their very first map. Content creators, we all had our very first video. We all stumbled and stammered along through our first video to get it out there, and now I've got hundreds in my catalog. So we've all had that first one, but there are people that's doing it for the wrong reasons. The people that I named, Rubber Burner and Bullet Bill and Oxygen David and CCS 101 and Lancy Boy and so many others that are, by the way, they're all mod contributors over at simplysafemods.com. But they do it. They have a passion for what they're doing, and they have a passion to get better, to learn different things, and to advance. I mean, when you see um, um, Daggerwin, I'm sorry, the name just was not on the tip of my tongue for me to spit out to you. Daggerwin released a early preview of uh, of the new map, Calmsden Farm, just a couple of days ago. This video that he put out just a couple of days ago, Calmsden Farm, is absolutely beautiful, and I'm looking forward to that. So, but anyway, this level of toxicness that we have that's in our community is also causing the behavior of even map modders that know what they're doing to rush to get their stuff out before some hack that has no business even touching Giants Editor. They probably even have no business playing the game, period, because of their behavior. But before some hack then takes their mods that they've worked very hard for to get them to Farm Sim 19, they take them and they do a very poor conversion to Farm Sim 22 and put them out there. So people are genuine map creators are rushing to get their stuff out there, and they're putting stuff out there that is not ready for prime time. Now, in my opinion, if you're gonna mod, if you created a John Deere tractor for Farm Sim 19, and you want to make that John Deere tractor available in Farm Sim 22, and you're the original mod author and all of this stuff, if you release it, and as long as it drives, maybe it's got a small problem. Maybe it's got a small problem, and it's something that something you're going to be able to fix, but you want to get the mod out there, and you're going to release it as a 1.0 release. I think that's fine. I think that's okay. It's got a few little niggles with it, but you're going to put it out there, and you're going to release an update in a couple of days or maybe a week. That's one thing. Releasing a map early when it's got problems, when it doesn't, when the spawn point for the dealership is in the middle of a field, when there is a physical desk in a middle of a field, when you don't have the sell points correct, you don't have other features that are correct and up to the current standards of Farm Sim 22, that map needs to stay on your PC until you get it ready to go, and you've put the time and the effort, and you've had your friends test and help you determine that this is ready for prime time. Now, I'm not saying that you've got to put out a map that is 1000% without error and all that. Because let's face it, I spent the better part of my career, my adult career, in the IT world, working for software companies that put out stuff that wasn't ready for prime time and had to patch it, days, weeks, months down the road, and sometimes even some of these never got patched. But that's a little bit different story. But my point is to put stuff out that has these problems, because the difference between a John Deere tractor mod and a map is that, especially for content creators, but I would even go so far as to say that even if you're not producing content for YouTube, when you sink yourself into a map, you want to make it yours. You want to make it your environment, your creation, your little virtual home within FarmSim. So you do little different things. You might replace equipment, so you're bringing that equipment from the store to the farm, unless you're using a mod to transport those for you, and you're making some tweaks here and there. And then let's say, for example, a few days later or a week or two later, the map author has fixed some of the challenges with the map and has essentially released an updated version, but it requires a new game save. And then a few days after that, there's another, he's released another update. It requires a new game save. For me, that is one of the most tiresome things to go through, is the start-stop of getting things going on a farm sim map because of having to create new game saves. And I know that there's some things that can be done to sort of move equipment and stuff around and everything, so you may not have to rebuy that. That process was a lot easier in FarmSim 17. I never honestly could get it to work correctly in FarmSim 19. I'll admit that I really never tried that hard to figure it out, and I've not tried it in FarmSim 22. But I know that people do move some XML files around here and there and have some success with it. But if you're going so far as to already getting hay and straw put away, things like that, and then all of a sudden there's a new update that comes out that requires a new game save, it's a problem. And of course we had some problems even with Giants, the update that they did, because I had gone down and cut down some of the trees around the main farm, and then the 1.2 update comes out and the trees are back. But that's minimal, and that's okay. But anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm going to wrap this up and close this out, because we're already coming up on 30 minutes, and I didn't really intend for this to be a 30-minute episode, but such is life. But I will just remind you all that and I really think that my viewers, the viewers who genuinely watch my channel, who frequently comment on my videos, who are my friends, I know you guys don't play with unauthorized mods, and you're very selective and very very cautious in what you bring into your game, and because some of you guys have learned the hard way about dodgy mods and wrecking a game save and causing problems and havoc and all this stuff. So you've already kind of been there, done that, and you've got the scars to show it. But so many people might be new to the channel, and I know that you want to play with all of these additional mods, all these additional features, and I know that you're itching to get into a map that isn't one of the 3 base game maps. But just be patient. Just be patient and wait. Giants today is, what did I say today was? It's the 10th of January. I believe Giants is back in the office today. So it's been somewhat, Giants has kind of done this to themselves. And I've got one more point that I want to make that's kind of created a little bit of this chaos with the mods. Is Giants made a decision sometime ago that they were only going to allow one type of mod in the Giants mod hub. So for example, this tractor, this John Deere, is this an 8R? Yes, 8R tractor. That if somebody were to create a modded John Deere 8R tractor, that they would only allow one in there at a time. There might only be one John Deere, cultivator, or one John Deere plow, or one, Fendt this, or, Floss that, whatever the case is. And so people are, rushing again to try to be that one that gets in Giants Mod Hub. And of course, Giants takes the month from, just before Christmas through the new year, into the new year, and then will come back into the office today. So they're already back, because this is obviously early morning my time, and they're in Europe, but they're back, and we should start seeing this queue of mods start to trickle out from the Giants into the Mod Hub, and I think that's going to help things out. But anyway, you guys know about all the things that I've talked about for the years about making sure that you're downloading from the original source, and just be patient. Just be patient. I think that in time, I think when we get into the springtime here in the northern hemisphere, anyway, so into the March-April timeframe, which is really not that far away, because time flies especially when we get older. Time flies. This is going to be a completely different game. There will be all the mods that we know and love will be out. They'll be in their, kind of in their full capacity. We'll have a good map that will be out, or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 good maps, and we'll just be able to stretch our legs and truly enjoy this game. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I feel that I've rambled a little bit here. I just wanted to get some of those thoughts off my chest and let you all kind of know what's been going on and why I've slowed videos down. I've also spent some time enjoying other simulation-based games that I enjoy, like Truck Sim and also Flight Sim as well. So, but everything is fine here, but I am going to keep things kind of at maybe this 3 episode per week for right now pace, so that way you guys can watch some other content, because I think that was what was happening with some of the viewer counts and stuff like that, is that you guys have your people that you watch, and when we're all putting out videos every single day, there's only so many hours in the day, and we all have our chores that we've got to do to keep the wife happy, if that's the situation. And so anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a friend and part of the family here at Grizzly Bear Sims. And I will see you for the next episode, and we'll be further along. We'll probably be in the month of January, so into our third year, and we'll have probably another field purchased and have that field ready to go, or maybe we'll start on that. I don't know. But we'll figure something out to do that will continue to move this saga, this journey down the road and into what I think is going to be absolute greatness here on Elm Creek. And I appreciate you coming along for that journey. Take good care of yourself, watch out for each other, and come back here for episode 31 very soon. Bye for now.